Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to my workshop. If you're watching last week, you'll have seen me frame up the benchwork for a customer's HO scale layout. I've already unlocked, so now let's go inside and get that benchwork finished. Well, here's all the different colours of bus wire that I need. The feeder wires are still in the box, but I need 3 different sections for track blocks and 2 accessory buses. Also, 2 of the track sections have reversing loops, which is why I have striped wire of the same basic colours. And since the control systems are going to reside on this shelf down here, I'm starting from here and working my way out. This panel I've installed on the back will be convenient for attaching all the circuit boards. And then I'm using these chocolate bar connectors between all the sections. And I'll just be putting spade connectors on the end of all the wires and routing everything through these holes. And it'll be really convenient to take it apart and set it up again afterwards. You see they're mounted everywhere that I have a section joint. So the next task is to get wiring. Well, as you can see, if we look around the layout, all the bus wires are in. Actually, they've been in for a few days now. It's Friday morning and I haven't been out here since Monday, because on Monday afternoon I got a phone call. Apparently the customer has refinished the room and it is now smaller. The room is 3 inches shorter and 2 inches narrower than what you see here. So of course I have to modify it. I have to cut a 3-inch section out of this section here. I have to cut 2 inches out of here. I have to cut 3 inches out of here and 2 inches out of here. And when I gave an estimate of the time necessary to do that, they didn't like it. And it's taken me the last 3 days to get the change order accepted. I've got to dismantle most of these sections. Well, from here around to the fan and the peninsula stays as it is. But everything from here around the end, down that side, and around this end need to be dismantled and modified, because there's 4 separate sections to cut into. Some are easier than others. Of course, this one here is going to be the most complicated because the grade is now going to change. Shop, this benchwork is put together to last. Everything is screwed and glued. Well, I have undone all the feeder wires and I've removed these 2 corner sections. Of course the feeders ran right through one of them, so that got even worse. But I think I found a way of saving a lot of effort and getting these adjustments made without even dismantling the sections. So I've got a temporary leg clamped in there, and another one there. My thoughts are, instead of taking it off the end of the section, if I just cut a bit out there and put a splice block in, it won't look pretty, but it will be completely hidden within the frame. Where I have the angle over here, that might get more complicated because the width is going to change. Just trying to figure out if I've overlooked anything before I start making cuts. So let me get those changes made and I will check in with you again afterwards. Well, I've cut sections out where I need to, and so far so good. It hasn't collapsed yet. I have to take this end board off and put it back on again because I had screws coming through there, and the alternative was to kill a saw blade. So I took it off and I put shorter screws in. I'm going to slide the sections together and hopefully I can still get them straight when I put the splice plates on. Only time will tell. Well, the shortening over here and to the end worked fairly well. It didn't take very long at all. Of course, I've still got to hook up all the wires again, and now they're all too long. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to cut the ends off and redo them or whether I'm just going to leave them floppy. And there's now a kink at the end of this curve here. That's a repercussion of making the aisle 2 inches narrower after the curves were already made. I can't be bothered to throw those away and rebuild them. So that's the easy side done. And I have to cut 3 inches out of here. And all this is glued together. And I can't attack it from the back because I only have about 9 inches behind it. I'm not sure if I glued this piece in here, this stiffener. If I didn't, it'll be a little bit easier because I'll just take that out. The bottom section isn't too bad, but the top section, I can't get a saw between the two rails. So maybe I will take the front member out altogether, because it probably doesn't necessarily need to be there. I'm going to give it some more thought before I start hacking. I think I'm just going to do this one while I'm thinking about it. Well, with the bus wires completed and the modifications made to suit the new room size, I can now start installing the tops permanently. I did this one yesterday, although I had to cut a hatch in the middle. The centre section of this one will be mounted 1.5 inches higher up with no foam on top of it. That way all the switch machines on it will be further away from the turnouts in the staging yard, just to give more clearance for maintenance. And then the one next to it that I already cut, that one I'm not going to install permanently yet because I have to cut a long strip out of this side because a logging line goes above it. I'm not quite sure where it goes yet, but I'm going to raise part of it up another 4 or 5 inches for the logging line. And then the other one that I have pre-cut, this one over here, all I have to do here is cut 3 inches off the end of it because it is now too long. So that one I will get screwed down in the next few minutes, and then I can work my way around there and along there. And I don't know if I'll get this job finished today, but let's give it a go. Well, I'm not gluing the tops down, I'm just screwing them. Basically the technique here is to plot all the framing members and then drill a hole every few inches, put 1.25 inch drywall screws in, and then just tighten them up. I'm going to run out of screws before the end of the day, so I'm either going to have to go out and buy some more or start using longer ones. I haven't decided what yet. It'll depend on how I feel when I get there. But that's all 1.25 inches I have left, and that's my second box of 1.25 inches. Well, I have now installed a few more of the tops. It may seem like I'm just jumping around all over the place doing it randomly. There's another one over there. what I'm doing at the moment is using up all the partial sheets, just filling in wherever they fit in the most efficient manner. I've now done that. I've got 2 more full sheets left and a third one that I already had in stock, which I haven't billed the customer for yet. And I think I'm going to need all 3 of them. I'm going to go in here next, and the offcut from that I think will do most of what's left of the yard. So let me get that done and I'll be right back. Well, I've got 2 more pieces cut and one of them permanently installed. I'm not going to install this one just yet. Let me go around the other side and I'll show you something. I have decided that before I install this, I'm going to put the track in on the bottom of the grade, all the way around to where it comes out of the tunnel over there. But of course, before I do that, this bit in here still has to be painted. So it's time to vacuum up some dust, get the paint out, so that paint can be drying while I get organised for the track laying. This morning I have installed all the track and the feeders at the bottom of the grade, in the curve up to here where the track is now fully visible. So that's done all the awkward bits while I still have reasonable access. Now I can continue with the tops without having to worry about hiding it. Well, all the plywood tops are now on. There are little holes here, and that is intentional because I will need to be able to get to that track joint after the layout is installed, because that will have to be soldered later. So these pieces are temporary access hatches. They will be sealed up eventually after installation. And now my next project is to make a modification to this framing here. There are 3 switch machines in the front track of the yard that are going to be too far forward to miss that first framing member there. So what I've done is added additional supports, and now I can just get the jigsaw and cut that piece out, and the top above will still be properly supported. Here is the section for the raised branch line terminal. It's just a long narrow area. I cut out the top below it so that when it's done I have plenty of access space to get in to reach the wiring and the switch machines. I don't even know exactly how high this has to be yet. At the moment it's just temporarily blocked up. Didn't take long to do, and it's a lot easier to make it as a separate section than it would have been to add it to what was already there. And the other thing I've done this morning is raised up the benchwork in this area. I think I talked about that a couple of days ago. At the moment this top is just tacked down because I'm going to have to remove it to work on switch machines. There are a lot of turnouts directly above those for the staging yard. By raising the plywood and eliminating the foam in this area, I give the customer an extra 1.5 inches of clearance for maintenance. I felt that was worth the slight additional effort involved. Now with those 2 areas lifted up, I think I am now done with the carpentry for a while. The next thing I need to do is clear off the benchwork and get the foam out and get that glued down. The technique for attaching the foam tops is really simple. I start by cutting pieces to shape to the right size, and then I liberally spread yellow glue all over the plywood with a roller, and then install the foam, hold it down with a few big screws while the glue sets, and it will take a long time to set because of the insulating qualities of the foam, and then I can get rid of those screws tomorrow and it should stay. Shouldn't take very long. The majority of the time is in shaping the pieces. Well, that is all the foam I can put down today, because I didn't buy enough. I only have a few little offcuts left and not enough to really do anything with. I need one more sheet of 1 inch and one more sheet of 1.5. This piece isn't glued down yet. I'll show you why. Although I carefully calculated how far to drop the riverbed, the foam varies in thickness slightly, so I've got a step here. So when the glue is nice and set up, I will belt sand that down to the right level. It's just about right in this corner, but then it's high along this edge here. As I say, it does vary in thickness slightly. But anyway, that will be a project for tomorrow, as will buying the rest of the foam and getting it glued down. So I will sign off now and check in with you again later. Well, welcome to another day. I have all the extra foam that I need, and this stack here has now dried rock solid, so I can belt sand that smooth and get a level top, and then I can add this piece all the way across. So let me get the belt sander out, make a dust, and I'll check in with you again later. Well, after a few minutes with the belt sander, everything is now flush. So now I can just put the other piece on top of it and continue. Well, it is now Thursday morning. I think it's September 19, but I'm not quite sure. And as you can see, all the foam tops are on. You'll notice there's 3 different thicknesses of foam here. That is to allow for the slight level variations in the main line that he wanted. You may also notice that the workshop is nice and clean again. I don't believe in cleaning up every day because it just eats too much into working time and is not efficient. But once in a while, you've got to have a good clean up. And with the bench work done, now is a good time to do so. I've still got to back out about 1 million screws that I put in temporarily to hold the foam down while the glue's set, and I still need to paint all the rest of the legs. So let me get on with those and I will be right back. Well, this is the bench work now complete. You may notice that there are a few legs that I haven't painted. That's because those are only temporary legs and they will not be required once it's installed in the room.
Well, that concludes the bench work on this project. Be sure to check in next week when I will continue with the railroad. So until then, have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.